Hi, in this video, I'm going to show how to graph this cotangent graph from the GeoGebra activity that's in Pearson's MathLab and Mastering. So when we're graphing a problem like this, the first thing I advise my students is to think about what the basic graph of cotangent is supposed to look like. So for the basic graph of cotangent of x, we have the asymptotes. We have one of them at x equals 0. And we have another asymptote at x equals pi. And this is because these are the values for which cotangent is undefined. And then in the middle, we have an x-intercept. And then our graph has the shape where it curves up and then down. So from left to right, the graph is decreasing. Now, in this new equation that they're asking us to look at, we have x minus pi over 2. And that represents a phase shift to the right, pi over 2 units. And so this whole graph needs to be shifted to the right. And the way you can think about that is you can look specifically at the asymptotes. So normally they would be at 0 and at pi. But if I add pi over 2 to both sides here, that shows us how now our asymptote for the left is moving over to positive pi over 2. And then the one to the far right is moving over. If I add pi over 2 to pi, that gives me 3 pi over 2. And again, these are the locations of the asymptotes. So that's the first thing I'm going to look at in this graph. I'm going to move these points over. And they don't have it marked, but 3 pi over 2 should be here. Here's pi over 2. And now my graph is already split up into these subintervals. So I'm going to move these points over. So it looks like I have m right in the middle at pi. And then just kind of move these over there. Okay, but let me look at how else my graph is being affected. We have a negative in front. And so that means that this cotangent graph actually is going to be reflected. So instead of like decreasing, it's going to be increasing from left to right. So it's going to look something like this. And also we have this 4. So we don't call that the asymptote for tangent and cotangent, but it does show me how high or low I need to go, how far I need to go for these points. So for L, I'll move it down to -4. N, I'll move it up to +4. Let me double check. I know it can be a little tricky to graph these on the calculator, but just to recap, I found my asymptotes, which were shifted to the right. I reflected the shape of my graph, and I moved those points up to +4, -4. Let me check this answer. All right, and that looks like we're good. I hope this helped. Thanks so much.